The reality is, for many Londoners, a successful 2023 will be about staying afloat. And for the people working to make London fairer, the challenge will be to avoid burnout and maintain hope. It will be hard, but what are we if not believers that a better future is possible? The issue. The cost of living crisis has been in the political spotlight, and at the forefront of families' financial concerns, for much of 2022. With inflation not expected to fall until later in the new year, it's an issue unlikely to go away anytime soon. The scale of the crisis means that even those in paid employment are being dragged into hardship. Analysis by the Legatum Institute shows that rising costs will result in 2.75 million more people in the UK falling into poverty in 2022-23, a projected total of 16.65 million, including over a million people from working families. Londoners are likely to be impacted most, as they live in the region most affected by poverty and high living costs. The solution. A societal challenge this great requires a proportionate response. Support should be delivered primarily by government and national policymaking. But employers also have a role to play, as they have a direct influence over the factors that cause or deepen poverty. Whether it be the wages they pay, the number of working hours they provide, or the workplace benefits offered, there are a wide number of measures employers can take to help their staff. Our research shows employees want and need their employers to do more to help tackle London's in-work poverty problem. But incentives have to be put in place for employers to come to terms with their pivotal position and shift towards a culture of employment that improves the well-being of workers. To this end, the SMF is working with Trust for London to establish a new business standard, one that encourages London employers to do more to help tackle working poverty. The design of our benchmark is well underway. We hope to unveil it in 2023 and help deliver real change for people in poverty. Jake Shepherd is a senior researcher at the independent think tank, the Social Market Foundation. We are currently funding the Social Market Foundation to create and promote a benchmark to assess businesses over their record on addressing poverty. The issue. As we head into 2023, the recession will really start to bite, prompting an expected wave of redundancies. This is particularly alarming for part-time workers, 3/4 of whom are women, or those returning from maternity leave who are often more vulnerable to redundancy than their full-time colleagues. In the past months, more women who work part-time because they are unable to afford childcare are contacting us for help because they are facing redundancy. For many families who are just about keeping afloat, losing a wage at a time of soaring living costs is enough to tip them into poverty. The solution. We need to protect those most at risk through legislative measures, which the Protection from Redundancy, Pregnancy and Family Leave bill we are working on with Dan Jarvis MP will go some way toward. The safety net for those who are made redundant also needs to be fortified, including benefit increases in line with inflation, to mitigate the effects on families already struggling to get by. But even more, we need an overhaul in attitudes towards part-time workers. We need to start valuing their contribution in boosting productivity and engagement as well as increasing diversity. Employers have a key role to play here, by investing in the development and progression of part-time workers that recognizes their worth and protects them from redundancy in future. Jane Van Zyl is the CEO of Working Families, the UK's national charity for working parents and carers. We currently fund Working Families to provide disadvantaged London parents with legal advice and to improve understanding of the issues they face. The issue. As 2022 passes the baton onto a new year, we've no doubt that many of the issues that have compounded over the past few years are also being carried over. Events such as Brexit, COVID-19 and, most recently, an intense cost of living crisis which has gripped businesses and workers across the spectrum have set off, or worsened, many of the issues impacting on people's everyday lives. Migrant workers, both documented and undocumented, are especially vulnerable. Through our research we know that low pay, below minimum wage, and a lack of basic worker rights, such as holiday entitlement, sick pay and maternity pay, are rife among migrant workers in London. These are major problems that will continue throughout 2023. Exploitation of migrant workers is an extensive and multifaceted issue, but financial instability is a key factor. The cost of living in London is high and accommodation, more specifically, rent, is the greatest expense. Expensive housing cost acts as the trigger for many other problems. The risk of exploitation at work, falling into debt, poor mental health, domestic violence, poor nutrition, drug addiction. All of these issues and more are made more likely by a lack of disposable income after paying rent. The solution: we need to better understand these issues faced by migrant workers, with an emphasis on housing. More research should take place, both qualitative and quantitative, to identify the necessary solutions to alleviate rent-induced problems faced by migrant workers. The approach will need to take place at both a policy and grassroots level. At a policy level, we would like it to be made easier for migrant workers to be able to legally rent rooms or homes without extensive documentation, levels of income declarations and other administrative burdens. We would also like to see an independent community-led regulatory body which assesses private rent and landlord misconduct, available in multiple language. Those facing evictions should be able to access emergency funds to prevent homelessness. Finally, undocumented migrant workers, whose issues are compounded by their immigration status, should be offered a resolution or amnesty, to protect them when they rent private accommodation. Ibrahim Afzal works for the Refugee Workers Cultural Association. In 2022, he was the lead researcher on a new report showing the perspectives of migrant Turkish and Kurdish workers in North London.